All right, you guys, we're going to get right into it. Welcome to the New Era Sports Podcast. We're going to talk about the Florida State Seminoles and what I think about what this team is going to do this season. I definitely think that Florida State is going to be in high demand, and I definitely think they're going to be one of the top teams in the nation. If you look at some of the talent that they've been able to bring in this season, guys like Keon Coleman, wide receiver from Michigan State, who transferred over. Pretty much he was one of Michigan State's best receivers, standing at 6'4". So that's a big body guy. And now he's going to be playing a Z receiver for the Florida State Seminoles. And then when you think about who they already had over there, and 6'7", 230-pound Johnny Wilson. So definitely, man, Johnny Wilson is one of those guys, man, that can stretch the field as well. He is a big body receiver, and he will be playing the X receiver. And then you got transfer from West Virginia. In the slot, you have Winston Wright, who definitely put up some good numbers with West Virginia last season. And, man, it's crazy, man. But this whole thing, man, what I really think about the Jordan Travis thing, I definitely think that he's a dark horse candidate to end up winning the Heisman Trophy. Now, he's going to have to beat out guys like Drake May. He's going to have to beat out guys like Caleb Williams and things of that nature, because those guys put up a lot of numbers. And not only does Caleb Williams and Drake May put up numbers in the air, they also are able of putting numbers on the ground as well. And this guy is no slouch, man. Definitely, if you watch his footage, he's definitely more than capable of being a guy that is able to throw for 4,000 and also run for 1,000 on the ground. I definitely think that Jordan Travis can do that. And pretty much he's one of those guys, man, that's going to stand out this year. I think that Florida State ultimately, if they're going to be good this year, it's going to have to be led not only by Jordan Travis, but also that defense is going to have to come alive, because I really think that they got one of the best offenses in the nation. They're bringing back running back Trey Benson, who had over 990 yards last season with 9 touchdowns. And then when you look at what Jordan Travis was able to do, he completed 226 passes out of 353 for a completion percentage around 64, and he passed for 3,214 yards in the air, and he had 24 touchdown passes to go along with 5 interceptions. And then when you look what he brings on the table when it comes to running on the ground, he had 82 carries for 417 yards. He averaged around 5.1 per carry. So we see that this kid can get busy. He is a dual threat quarterback, and I definitely think that he's going to be the reason why the Florida State Seminoles are going to be one of the top national ranked teams next year. I definitely think that this kid set, his skill set is definitely in high demand, man. He's going to be one of those guys you're going to have to keep your eyes on. Now, he was projected, last time I looked at the NFL Buzz, he was projected to be in the 3rd round. But I think that if he goes out and balls out and Florida State is one of the top teams, he can end up finding himself in the 1st round or in the 2nd round. I think that Jordan Travis is that good, and I'm definitely going to be having my eyes glued on this kid all season long to see what he brings to the table. And if you don't believe me, guys, make sure you guys go and watch the body of work. It's definitely there for you to watch on YouTube. And go and watch some footage on Jordan Travis, and I'll tell you, man, you will not be displeased at all. This kid can play some football, and Florida State is definitely going to be one of those teams that you're going to have to watch out for. I definitely think that they're going to be highly explosive when it comes to the offense. Trey Benson is definitely electrifying with the ball in his hands at the running back position, who's coming back. I thought that Benson would probably go into the NFL, and I thought that Florida State would ultimately lose Jordan Travis, because I think he was a 5th-year senior last year. So I think this season, 6-year senior? So he opted to come back. So definitely, man, I know Florida State is thinking about good things because a lot of the weapons came back. And I want to see how Keon Coleman is going to do with this team. Keon Coleman, when playing with Michigan State last season, he had 58 receptions for 798 yards, and then he had 7 touchdowns too, that he grabbed as well. And then Johnny Wilson definitely was no slouch as well for Florida State. Johnny Wilson had 43 receptions for 897 yards, and then he had 5 touchdowns as well. And then when you look at what Winston, who's going to be playing in the slot, who's transferring over from West Virginia, he ended up catching 63 balls last year for 688 yards and 5 touchdowns. So this Florida State team is no joke, man. This team, I'm definitely picking Florida State to be one of the top teams in the country. Florida State will be one of the top 10 teams in college football next season. Now, when you go along and you look at their schedule to me is pretty fair for them. So let's see who the Florida State Seminoles will be playing in 2023. Now, the first game of the season, you have LSU is going to be the first game for Florida State Seminoles. I definitely think that game could be a toss-up. Florida State could win that game, and they could lose that game. They'll be going against quarterback Caden Daniels of LSU. But I'm going to say Florida State wins this game. I'm going to say Florida State wins this game against LSU. I know it's going to be a tough game, but I'm going to say that they're going to win it. Then the next game, you got September 9th against Southern Miss. Florida State will win that game. Then the next game, you have Boston College, September 16th. Florida State will win that football game. And then against Clemson, you really don't know how that is going to go. They could win that game, and they could also lose that game to Clemson as well. So I'm gonna give them a loss on that one. I'm gonna say Clemson wins that game. Okay, then when you look at the next game, they're going against Virginia Tech. I think that Florida State will win that game. And then when the next game after that, you have them facing off against the Syracuse Orangemen. I believe that Florida State will also win that football game as well. And then you got them facing against Riley Leonard and Duke. Riley Leonard definitely is a quarterback. If you don't know who he is, get to find out who this kid is. He's a nice quarterback in Duke, but I still don't think that that's going to be enough. And I think that Florida State Seminoles will beat Duke. And then another game that can be one of those games that can be a trap game for the Seminoles is Wake Forest. You never know what type of team Wake Forest is going to have. They can have one of those teams where they can be undefeated and cause a lot of havoc. And then they can have one of them teams that's struggling as well because they lost their starting quarterback. And what was the quarterback name? Sam Hartman. They lost Sam Hartman to Notre Dame. He transferred over to the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. So he'll be playing with them this season. So I'm going to say Florida State wins that game I'm going to say Florida State wins that game against Wake Forest. Then you got them going against, in November 4th, you got them going against Pittsburgh. And I think that Florida State will win this game. And then you got them facing off against their rival, Miami. That can go any kind of way. But I just think that this Florida State team is definitely going to be ready for the season. And I think that the Florida State Seminoles are going to beat Miami. Then when it comes down to the next game, it's going to be facing North Alabama. I think that Florida State would definitely run over North Alabama, winning that game on November 18th. And then you got them going against rival Florida Gators. That game can go, it can be a toss-up of anyway. Last season, the Seminoles ended up beating Anthony Richardson and the Gators last year. So I think that Florida State is going to win this game. So I got Florida State pretty much, let's see. I got them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I got them going 11-1 on the season. I think that the Florida State Seminoles are going to be the surprise team in college football. A lot of people don't know how good Trey Benson is. Go and look at the body of work of Trey Benson, the running back that came back. Trey Benson is definitely box office. I love this kid, man. I love his ability to be able to catch out of the backfield. I love his ability to be able to play on special teams. I love his ability to be able to run out of that backfield. And I think that ultimately this year that Trey Benson will crack over 1,000 yards. I think that he will probably have, if they give him the ball, like I think they should give it to him, I think that he should have at least 1,200 yards rushing. All right, you guys, I'm out of here.